You guys are probably ready to get out of here, but short version is that part of the Alamo Master Plan has called for the removal, restoration, and relocation of the cenotaph. So when you go with the Alamo and the big statue with all the names engraved on it, what they have done is, it's been a couple different ways and a couple of different presentations of the master plan, but essentially what they want to do is they want to come in there with equipment and they want to take it down. They want to take it off-site and restore it, renovate it, add some additional names. Okay. Now, this is even though there's been a study conducted that said moving it would likely destroy it, but this is what they're going to do. And then once they restore it, if they can, if they don't destroy it, they want to relocate it to a different spot. And the different spot would not even be on the Alamo grounds. So now what you're looking at is, if it's on the Alamo grounds under the plan, if it stayed there, then it would be protected, it would be secured. But in the era where we have people defacing monuments and everything else, they want to take it and move it into a public speaking space, a public space where pretty much anything can happen, where security won't have access to protect it if something happens. Yes, ma'am.
Before the election, I got a request from George P. Bush wanting some money for donations.
Oh,
and
sure.
I had to reply to him that for the first time I was not going to, in a lot of years, I was not going to be voting a straight Republican ticket because he was the one person that I just couldn't vote for because of his plan for the Alamo. And I got this very lengthy letter back, and not from him, but from somebody that he has writing his letters, that was explaining to me, first of all, I had my wrist slapped for using the term reimagine the Alamo because they said that has not been used in many years now. And when I mentioned the moving of the cenotaph, they said that actually that where they wanted to relocate it to was on the further out on the actual grounds of the battlefield where it was more appropriately located.
Yeah, that was probably from Brian Preston. Does that name ring a bell?
Might have been.
Yeah, Brian Preston was George P. Bush's kind of front man. He was the guy tasked with going out and doing the PR. Matter of fact, he went and gave a presentation at the SREC meeting and pretty much got laughed at. But Brian Preston, because of his interactions like that, he no longer works for the General Land Office. So he resigned. So
How did he get that little bush? How did he get that extra little thing in there, a 501c3, and say you can't ask me about it? How did he get that without any approval?
Go figure.
Because he was a Bush.
I mean, it's just
That's what I was just
the
gonna
way these
say.
guys
He's a
Bush.
Bush.
Yeah,
What's it handed over to the
Why
GLO?
can't
He's the
Ken
guy.
Paxton do something?
Obamas, the Clintons, they all.
I think that's a
Can
question
we
that
contact Ken and
I
raise
will.
hell?
I will say this is
We
that
can.
on our behalf, Paxton was delivered an entire packet that detailed all of the potential criminal financial issues related to the Reimagine the Alamo project, and Paxton has so far refused to do anything about it. And I mean, these are all, it literally was in such a form that he could take it to a grand jury and go, okay, guys, read this and get back with me when you get the, I mean, that's how detailed it was. So that's a question for Ken Paxton.
So maybe
Yes.
that's where we
I
should
say
start.
yes. I
Well-
say you
Talking
can.
on
Well, I'm
Mr.
gonna raise
Paxton.
hell.
Look, I am a all guns blazing approach at this point. I will tell you, and this is what I was telling people when they were spending so much time over the cenotaph, the real fight for this is going to be in the legislature. Because all of these things were essentially authorized by statute, right? Whether it was poorly worded, it was not detailed enough, the legislature is where this is going to have to fight. That's going to be the place that we can win this thing.
But you said you might not, they may tell you to shut up, nobody might not listen to you.
Oh,
So
I
where you
guarantee
gonna
you,
end
they
up?
can tell me to shut up, but I'll also guarantee you they'll definitely listen.
But if they don't listen, then you might as well be over there in the room by yourself hollering.
I don't disagree with that, but it's kind of like, I look at it this way, just to bring it back to the Alamo. The fact of the matter is those guys stayed there and fought. There was no, by the time you got to the 12th day, there was no chance they were going to win, but they fought it anyway.
Yeah.
And you know what? We have a far greater chance of winning this thing than they had of surviving. And I believe that, for me, because I have to speak for myself here, I believe I owe it to them
Yeah.
to make this happen. If they were willing to peril their lives 100 times a day, who am I to say that I won't give up, 3, 4, 5 hours or however,
We
4
have to
hours
have an
later?
Alamo mentality.
You gotta have Alamo mentality.
Right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you definitely need to join. We use that word a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Does anybody have one? I'll take one more question if anybody has one. Otherwise, I'm done.
Real quick.
Sorry, sir, limit 3 per customer. No, go ahead.
I've had five. I just wanted to ask how much does all this population influx that we've had, does anybody know the percentage of influx of population from other areas that we've had, say, in the last 30 years? Because that's got to be one of
It would
the,
make a difference.
I will tell you, it makes a difference probably for the long term, but
Yeah.
it's not as bad as you would think because a lot of the people that are moving here are political or economic refugees, right? Their states are failing, their politics are failing, so it's-
Mexico's failing.
Yeah, so that's, well, I'll tell you this, there was a survey that was done that showed that first generation, what basically the grandkids or the sons of the people who just immigrated here consider themselves Texans before Americans at a rate 3 times as high as white men over 65 years old here in Texas.
Wow.
And so there is a bed of conservative pro-Texas thought that exists in the Hispanic community, especially among the young. And we see it, 1/3 of our entire support base is Hispanic. So, we see that all the time.
Well, is that base over there? I mean, I've got friends that just came from El Paso to that base, Sam Houston. Is that base having the vote to be so liberal? Because I got liberal friends that live in
No,
San Antonio.
Bexar County's just that way. I mean, it is, I mean, if we're gonna talk
So
general
he's leading it
politics.
too, the mayor.
Well, that's why we moved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I
It's
mean.
worse than anybody here can
Look, San
imagine.
Antonio is facing the same, this is way off topic, San Antonio is facing the same issues that all the urban areas are. And if
Well,
you
it's the
want,
mayor's, the leaders.
well, it is the mayors and leaders, but I'm also gonna say this too, and I think this is extraordinarily important, is that the people like us that believe in traditionalism and constitutionalism, what we would be probably called conservatives, people like us have not done the best job. We've let the Democrats and the progressives out-organize and outwork
Yeah,
us.
oh, yeah.
The fact of the matter is, and I told Jeff this, Jeff, if you want to go ahead and wrap that up, that's fine.